Right, good afternoon. Welcome to a lunchtime fix, and we are talking wedge bounce. Today we're going to talk bounce and grinds in wedges. Lots of people constantly ask me about this, so we're going to talk about wedge grinds, bounce grinds, try and help you. In today's lunchtime fix, I've also got a couple of prizes. Stick around to the end of the video, you can see how you can win. Do you want to win this camo? Let me just go wide here. You can win this Titleist camo bag. This is a 4+ Titleist stand bag, double strap camo design, plus driver head cover. If you want to win these, stick around to the end of the video and I will show you what you need to do to win those. Right, let's kick this straight off. Talking bounce, what is wedge bounce? Now, wedge bounce is basically the angle between the top of the club here, so the leading edge, the front leading edge, and the bottom. So that angle there. So this is an 8-degree bounce on this club. So this angle here is 8 degrees is the way you want to think about it, as basic as it can get. So we're talking that angle there, 8 degrees from front to back, the angle. If it's in a neutral gaming position, that is bounce. You then also get grinds, which we'll talk about also. So grinds are how the back of the club is grinded away, so it's not just a flat surface. We get curves at the back. I've got a nice slide here, hopefully give you an idea of grinds. This is a grind. There's Siri talking to me. Hello Siri, I don't need you. There's a grind, so you can see how they've carved it away in the toe and the heel and slightly at the back. Siri, please stop. Right, so wedges, grinds, and bounces. So that's your bounce, the angle from front to back. And then you've got your grinds as well. Okay, I'm not going to say the name, as having a head off. They're there. Why are they there? How can they help? Let's show you how these grinds and bounces in ideas can help. So let's bring up this slide here, gives you an idea of how they can help. Some different situations that you will find yourself in every day on a golf course. So we've got mid bounce. This is a Titleist slide they're suggesting for a tighter fairway lie. Low bounce for hard packed sand, they call it hard pan. Rough, semi rough, high bounce, and then a high bounce for fluffy sand. So you're gonna be in those situations when you're on the golf course, and you're going to need your club to help you. You're going to need the bounce there in those situations to help. So let's have a think of how they can help. If we take the mid fairway one for argument's sake, where the tightish mid fairway lie, this is an 8-degree bounce picture I'm bunging up here. This is the wedge that I've got in my hands. Look how the front edge of that wedge hugs the very tight tabletop when gamed in a relatively neutral to slightly handle forward position. Now that's going to be ideal from a tight fairway base lie that they're saying in that slide, and that's an 8-degree bounce. But just to mix that up, if you were then to get in the semi-rough or the fluffy rough, this is an 8-degree bounce, and if I just have the handle in a more neutral position and I slightly rotate the face to add a little bit more loft, you can see now the effective bounce has increased. So even though your bounce is set on your club, the more you understand what bounce is, so the front edge to the back edge, and then in turn how it can help. So tight lies, like hitting one off an iPhone, you would want not much bounce. To a fluffy lie, you're going to want a bit more bounce. The reason being, tight lie, you don't want the back end of the club hitting the ground before the leading edge has had a chance to get anywhere near the ball, because you're going to find that you just scalp it. You just basically fin it because you can't get to the bottom. Again, if you look at this slide here, if you imagine trying to hit a chip off this tabletop with that amount of bounce that I've in effect added to my 8-degree. So if you had a high bounce wedge off a flat lie, that thing's going to be, I'm going to struggle to get that under the ball, and I'm probably going to fin it. But then in turn, if you go into a bunker fluffy lie, that bounce now, so the higher bounced club that I've effectively made by turning it, or you could buy if you wanted higher bounce, what that's going to do is the leading edge is not going to dig, the whole club's going to go in the fluffy sand, the back bit's going to hit then the harder bit underneath and then bounce out and go forwards and help you get that ball out without that club digging in and hitting the ground and stopping. Okay, let's see what the chat room are keeping up. Clean your wedge mark. Adam, yes, I'm not so good at that. Does bounce explain raise fin bullets? Not really, because bounce can only help you a certain amount. More bounce helps with your forward press. So basically forward press, if you think about it, if I have the club in game position, by moving the club forwards, I'm taking bounce off. So you're removing bounce. And then what that person there, can't remember your name, wherever it is you've gone, is saying that basically, yeah, so if you start with more bounce at the start, lean hand forwards, you're still going to have a little bit of bounce in there. So basically the back of the club, the bit at the back, being under the front leading edge, is there to help you not dig. It's there as a safety net to help that club get into the ground a little bit, then bounce out. So where it's not helpful, tight lies, you would want to take bounce off. Or if you're always playing on tight lies, you might want to have low bounce options. But if you're playing on lush greens and fluffy sand and you go in the rough a lot, you might find that a little bit more bounce is there to help you. Is more bounce better in bunkers? Chris Davey, as I just explained, if they're hard pan bunkers, then no. It might hinder you, but if you've got a bit of sand generally under the ball, some bounce will help. So having a bounce that you understand on your wedge and then being able to move it is an option. But we'll talk about the buying options in a second. Good morning from Texas, Chris. Hello. So basically, lie determines which club you use more than distance to green conditions. Well, Michael, no, it's a mixture of both. But assessing the lie would be your first point of call, what you can do out of it. That then might affect what bounce you choose stroke present. Because remember, you can present different amounts from one bounce, and then in turn you'd look at how you want it to land and stop and those kind of things. Bounce is in everything. Bounce is one factor of your wedge purchase and desires of what you're going to do when you hit the ball. Lots of people seem to think that bounce is just the answer. It's not. Richard Knight, too kind. You don't need to do that. Thank you very much, Richard. Just posted some money. That's far too kind of you. Thank you very much. Does bounce affect the spin rate? JT23. Well, it kind of can, because it might affect where you strike the ball on the face, which then in turn depends. That might affect how much stuff gets in this grooves on where you strike the ball on the face, which then in turn can affect how much it slips and grips on the face, and then in turn affects the spin a little bit also. Why does coach grind his wedge a little more? Luke Smith. Good question. So let's do grind then. So let's show you the grind. So we're all on the same wavelength here. There's your grind. There's a grind on a 60-degree wedge. Think about this on your wedges. If I am someone that has an 8-degree bounce on this club, and I play lots of shots from a very neutral position and I use my 8-degree bounce, then on another occasion, what I want to do is I want to add loft, so I twist it, put face on the floor. That adds more bounce. But for this shot, I don't particularly want more bounce because I want to add more loft and possibly play from a tight lie. Having it ground at the back, so this one is more away in the heel and the toe like the slide I showed you. I'm not sure if you're going to see this. Let's see. If I have it neutral there, I get X amount of blade off the top of the iPhone. So the bounce is back, obviously hitting the iPhone before the leading edge. Now, if I add loft, it really raises the leading edge. So what I might then choose to do is lay it down into the heel where I know it's ground and try and get this part of the club into the tight lie. So the grinds are giving you more versatility when you start playing with your bounce. Again, lots of people are asking for the right bounce, and we'll talk about the buying decisions in 1 second. You got to remember, if this has 8-degree bounce, static, I'm going to play it for many different degrees of bounce as I play. I'm going to take bounce off. I'm going to add bounce by leaning handle forwards, leaning handles back, twisting it around the angle using the grinds. So try not to think of bounce as just the answer. It's part of the puzzle of how you play your shot. So coach will play a lot of shots where he will add loft, drop handle, things like that. So he wants it just gone a little bit in the heel. Or even he'll have his handle quite a long way or very neutral, no lean forward and even slightly back. So he might relieve a little bit at the back. So when he leans the handle back, you don't get the leading edge so far up because the bounce is only on part of this sole. Let me know if that makes sense. Explains a lot about this brass stuff. Vic, thank you, Vicky, thank you. Coach grinds from playing all those path balls. Yes, very true. Just the lesson I was looking for, Mick. Cool, that makes me happy. Right. How do you choose your best grinds? That's such a big question. Bounces and grinds. Here's a slide. Look, this is all the SM7s. Obviously, you choose whatever wedge and make sure you get fit for your wedges, which we'll talk about at the end a little bit and in this section as well. I'm just using my assets, if you like, slides. So look at all the options from lofts to bounce to grinds. You've got so many options when it comes to trying to pick your grinds and your wedge. So how do you know which one to pick? Often the biggest question we get asked as pros. Best way to do it, the way I have most success, and this is the way Voki and his crew taught me how to do it, and I think it's a great idea. What you do is you put yourself in your worst situation. So there's plenty of situations, whatever it is. And if we look at this slide again, let's pretend one of these situations is your worst. So for me, the tight lie from the fairway, which should be my best, used to be my best, it's now maybe my most hated. So I will get in that situation, find a bounce that now helps me improve that shot, improve the interaction with the ground. Mick, hey, VAC, thank you very much. Big fan, love the honesty. No problem, Mick. You do not need to do that. Very kind of you. Thank you very much. So yeah, you put me in that situation. That's going to be my worst situation. So I'm going to choose a bounce that allows me to get the most confidence in strike and turf interaction from that situation. So not loads of bounce and not taking loads off. So I'm going to be in a mid bounce area, which is where I am. And that's going to give me the best chance to perform from that situation. And whatever your situation is, let's pretend it's fluffy bunkers where you need more bounce. You need to put yourself in that situation with a good wedge fitter, try different bounces. Generally, you'd be more bounces as a rule and different grinds to try and find the best strike and feel that you can get out of your wedge from your worst situation. Once you've found your worst situation and you've got a wedge and a grind that suits that in a loft that you play, then put that club in another situation that you're good at and make sure you've not buggered that up, basically. So if you're rubbish from the fluffy lies, so you go loads of bounce, but you're really good from those tight lies, those little checky nipper ones, but you go and put loads of bounce on it and you don't feel like you can do that anymore because it's too much bounce, even though you might be winning in one section, you don't want to harm the other section. So put yourself in your worst section. Get the bounce working for you, get the bounce that helps you produce the best consistent strikes, and then make sure you check that against the other situations you get in that you might be quite good at. Make sure you don't ruin it. The biggest thing to remember when you are thinking about bounce is you buy wedges with fixed amount of bounce on, but you are able and will be, skilled players are constantly then changing what bounces they use by how they lie the club on the ground, handle forward, handle back, twisting lofts, handle down, toe down. Ray Floyd, famous, great chipper, used to be very toe in the ground, hitting his chips. So he might want more relief in the toe than he would in the heel. Do you see what I mean? The grind, the bounce is there to help you in situations. Get the one that helps you in your worst situation, doesn't harm your best situation. And the grinds are there to help you kind of finesse how you then manipulate that club. If we can start moving away from thinking that bounce is so static and think about it more creatively, A, the question will stop getting asked what bounce I will have because you'll all understand it more. And B, I think it'll help your wedge play. When you watch Coach do his wedge lessons, when we do our golf days, I do the same with my students. Put the ball in situations, ask them what they see, how they're going to play it. And so often they're not changing their ideas to how they're going to chip from a heavy rough to a divot to a tight line. I just got like kind of one shot, and you'll find your best chippers are much more creative than that. There we go. Bounce. Wonder if that helps. Let me know in the comments. Let's see what the comments on the live feed are saying, and then we'll talk about the bag of how you can win the camo bag as well before we go and have our lunches. Can you affect bounce with angle of attack? Not angle of attack as such, but delivery. Obviously, if you start in one position and deliver in another position, you're going to change bounce. So again, grab a wedge in your hand, look at the angle, and then just move it around, handle back, handle forwards, handle down, handle up. If you do it, what's quite good is do it on like a tabletop, something really tight. And you really start seeing how the bounce affects how that club sits on the ground, and basically how the face, leading edge, are touching or not the ground, which is obviously going to be key to you striking off different lies. Yep, helps. Paul Thomas, brilliant. Is the Rickenbacker hanging on the wall? Is that Ricken? Yes, it is, Tom. It's a 1975 Rickenbacker, one of my dream guitars. Still sounds great. Being creative. You don't need to mount wedges. Oh, sorry, I don't know what that means. This is very helpful indeed. Michael Keep. Thank you, Michael. Why do irons have less? Why do irons not have loft and bounce on the sole like wedges? Would be much better. They do. You just don't change them as much. But there is bounce on. This is my 7 iron. T100. Yeah. Loving it. So I didn't have my 7 iron in the last video. It's come, and I haven't actually hit it yet, but I will. Yeah, as you can see, that leading edge is not level with the front edge. There is bounce in all clubs generally. Even think about a driver has a rounded sole, not bounce so much. You're not interacting with the ground, but because of the way they lie. So all your clubs do have like some kind of bounce and design. And then also if you add lofts and take lofts off, you manipulate that a bit as well. So you can custom fit it. What bounce is suitable for thin shot hitters? Good question. No bounce. You need to get better at controlling your low point if you're a thin shot hitter. So I don't use, even though I do use bounce to help me with my poor chipping, I don't use it to help me with my poor chipping. And what I mean by that is I know I've got to deliver a certain amount of skill for that bounce then to help me. Sometimes my chips are so bad the bounce is actually irrelevant. It's so that, again, that's one of the biggest problems I often find with equipment ideas and lessons as well. You've got to come with a certain amount of skill or practice, otherwise it kind of doesn't apply that much. As in, yes, you should be getting fitted for your clubs if you're a beginner and those kind of things, because you'll have patterns that you can fit to. But then that's going to apply more to your average to good shots. When you hit a bad shot, like a disaster one, a fin, no equipment's really going to help you there. Canny little tan you've got there, Mark. Thanks, Andy. Very helpful. No problem. Being creative. How many wedges do you need, Nigel? Thank you. That's yes. Sorry, I couldn't spell check you there. Being creative. How many wedges do you need? Well, good wedge players don't need that many. I think Sevi's quite famed for using his 56-degree wedge in nearly all situations. Also, when we film with Luke Donald, he was very happy to go to his 60 in many situations. He didn't really change that. I'm sure he does change it about when he plays, but he just was grabbing his 60 a lot. So I have a lot of wedges because my creativity isn't that good. So I use the wedge to help. You'll find the more creative players, as a general rule, will stick to kind of patterns that they know. Saying that, Matt's a very creative chipper, and he's very happy to change loft. It's really style-based more than anything else. Shanks a lot, Steve Smith. Shanks for watching, Steve Smith. So, look, if you want to win the head cover, it's a 1, it says on it, but you can put it on whatever you want, camo. And if you want to win this bag, what you've got to do is you've got to like this video, give it a thumbs up, and you need to be a subscriber of this channel with the bell icon rung. One of you subscribers will win this bag and head cover. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, and if you are subscribed already, make sure the bell icon is illuminated, and you've got a chance of winning that bag. Thanks all for watching. Let me know what you're having for lunch in the comments down below. Let me know if you want me to do more on bounce. To be honest with you, that kind of is it. We can do it again. Oh, you're skating now, boyo. Jamie. Longboard. possibly might enjoy skating after my surfing in America, and possibly like skateboarding now as well. But that's a different video. Thanks all for watching. Let me know in the comments as well. I posted a tweet last week or whenever. Lots of people asking about my different look, weight loss and what have you. I said I'd do a video explaining what I've done, and loads of people seemed to want me to do it, and I couldn't tell if you were joking or not. So let me know in the videos, because I'll do it, and I'll put the disclaimer in that I'm not a professional and you should seek professional help and the rest of it. Fried egg sandwich, Richard Knight, good boy. Yeah, so if you want to see that, let me know in the comments, and I can do it. It'll be embarrassing, because I'm just me and I, but there you go. Let me know. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you have a good afternoon and you enjoy your next wedge fitting, because if you're not getting wedge fit, you're not in the game. Make sure you go for a fitting for your wedges. As always, post those comments if you want to get involved in winning the bag. You know what to do. See you all soon.